the probability that your personal information is stolen is getting pretty close to 100%. Data breaches happen all the time, and the problem is organizations aren't tracking at the details to know which accounts. So you probably received letters or emails saying your account was involved in a compromise and you want to change your password, but the reason why they can't tell you whether it's you or not is because they don't have the details. They don't know who is actually hacking and breaking in. Imagine that your driver's license, your social security number, and your date of birth are no longer private information. That information is available to attackers. How do we now live our lives with identifying and verifying who we are with that information now being public? That's the reality of the world we're living in. We need to embrace it and recognize it and not fight it. Unfortunately, you are a target. It doesn't matter who you are. Many people sit there and go, Eric, I'm not a $5 billion business, or I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars in the bank account. That's who the attackers are going after. They're not going after the huge, large companies. They're going after the medium, small, and individuals just like you and just like me. So we need to recognize that our information is out there and available to attackers. We need to start stepping up and protecting our information, recognizing who has access to our data, being careful of who we're giving our data to, and making sure that they're also verifying us. This just happened to me the other day, where I get an email from my bank saying I have to verify my account. Now, the funny thing is, this actually was legitimate, even though it looked like a scam, because it came on September 2nd, and the letter said you have to respond by September 1st. So that's usually a red flag, but even banks are going in and sometimes sending out invalid information. But I call them up, and they want all this information from me, and I'm like, well, how do I verify you? And how do I know that I'm talking to the right person and I didn't call a fraudulent number? So it's this seesaw effect where they have to provide some information to me to know they're valid, and I have to provide some information to them. So it's one of those things we just have to have a healthy sense of paranoia. And I know we grow up in a world of trust and trusting people and liking people, but we have to recognize that in cyberspace, it is not a safe place. We have to have healthy paranoia and start protecting and securing our data and our information. You have to think of yourself and your family as assets. You as an individual have a lot of value. Do you realize your name, your social security number, your date of birth, your address has tremendous value? People can go in and open up credit cards. They can open up accounts under your name. Have you ever gone to these different stores and they say, hey, do you want to open up an account? And we'll give you 10% off. And just for kicks or giggles, say yes. And see how easy it is. They ask some basic information to set up those accounts. That information that they ask for most likely is in the hands of the attackers. I know we've all heard about the dark web, right? The evil side of the internet, right, that everyone is scared about, but it is real. The dark web is a reality, and they are selling your information. Depending on what level of PII, personally identifiable information, with address and phone number and email and potentially date of birth and other details, can go anywhere from $1 to $5. And they're selling these to different attackers so they can use them in different attacks. So your information has value. It doesn't matter who you are or where you are. You need to remember you are a target, and cybersecurity is your responsibility. Now, the other thing we have to remember is information is reused. Many people go in and passwords. Let's just set the record straight. Passwords are dead. They are not an effective means for authenticating and verifying who you are. They're too easy to guess. Even though we say don't use names, don't use pets, don't use that information, everyone still uses that information, and then we reuse them over and over and over again. Have you ever gone in and logged into an account and you get the warning message, this password is known and has been used in other data breaches? Well, that's actually true. It probably is. And the randomly generated ones are good, but then they're hard to manage across multiple devices. The reality, the world we live in today is multi-factor, two-factor. We have to go in, and I know it's a little bit of an inconvenience. Going in every time you log into your account or your credit cards or your bank, you have to enter your username your password, and then you got to pick up your phone. But you know what's a real inconvenience? When your data is stolen, when your bank account is wiped out. You need to recognize that in this day and age, there's going to be some inconvenience. The question is, you have to choose what is your level of inconvenience. Do you want a little or do you want a lot of inconvenience? In the 70s, I know it sounds crazy talking about this today, people did not like seatbelts. Seatbelts were a new thing in the 70s. Many cars, you weren't required to wear a seatbelt. Many people didn't wear seatbelts, and they were passing all these laws. I remember people going crazy. I remember neighbors, they're actually taking these heavy cutters and cutting seatbelts out of the cars. They're like, we're not going to wear seatbelts. And you're like, why were they fighting it? Because change. Nobody likes change. Everybody thought being strapped into a car was actually going to hurt you, and in reality, it helps you. Today, seatbelts are an inconvenience, but we do it so much we don't even realize it. We get in the car, we put the seatbelt on, or it automatically happens depending on the vehicle you drive, and we recognize that. We're in the 1970s when it comes to cybersecurity. We have these new vehicles called applications and the internet and iPhones. I know it sounds like we've had them forever, but they're fairly new. And now security is catching up. And that's always the case. Functionality leads, security always follows. The problem is it's come on so quick and so fast, nobody ever realized that we need to put security measures in place. The reality is the government and tech is not going to protect you. They're going to try. They're going to start to pass laws and put measures in place, but you as an individual need to recognize that cybersecurity is your responsibility. We can work together and we can start putting simple measures in place. Turn on account notification, turn on two-factor authentication. The more data you have, the more you can verify and validate what's happening in your accounts and what's occurring. I give you the safest car on the planet, but if you are a reckless driver, you can still get into an accident and you can still get hurt with the safest car. Cars don't keep you safe, drivers do. That's why you have driver safety classes. We can give you the best, most secure computer on the planet, but the reality is if you're not a safe driver on the internet, you're still going to get in trouble. So another quick tip, and this one could save you millions of dollars, your entire account, or your life. Do not click on a link. Doesn't matter, text, email, whatever method. If somebody is sending you a link, no matter how legit it looks, do not click on a link. Go to the app and go in and check, verify, and validate. All of the main services that you use, whether it's shipping services, banks, e-commerce, or others, they all have apps. And the good news is these apps for the mainstream companies are encrypted, they have good security, they have measures in place, and two-factor authentication. So utilizing app is a much secure method than going to websites or clicking on links. So anytime you get a message or an email, go into the app, verify and validate. Out of band. Don't click on a link. Don't call a phone number. And the other thing I always tell people is, and I know this is hard for some, is be careful of answering the phone. Because there's a lot of ways where they can spoof phone numbers, spoof messages, and with deep fake, they can make it sound like a legitimate person. You can text me, and I can call you, or we can set up a time to meet, but I don't answer the phone, because if you pick up the phone and you have a skilled attacker on the other line, they're going to be able to social engineer you, extract, and get information from you. So we need to start going in and have a healthy dose of paranoia. One of the things we used to say at the CIA, and I know you're not working at the CIA, right? We're not all spies, but just because you're paranoid doesn't mean no one's out to get you, right? The reality is people are out to get you, and you need to recognize that, and we need to start protecting and securing ourselves.